What's up, everybody? With Ulduar around the corner, I wanted to take the chance to talk about Demonology BiS. I just made a video for Affliction BiS that you can check out up here, but I think that the demo set will look extremely similar, but still a little bit different. This is what I have right now. This is taking no points into suppression, so 0 to 3 suppression, and we're getting 14% hit, and that includes the 1% for Alliance. If you're Horde, you would just take a point out of Nemesis and put that into suppression and call it a day. But I wanted to go through every single piece here and talk about my reasoning for it and talk about some optional pieces in case those are too contested in your guild, and talk about pieces that I think should be a priority for a Demonology Warlock. And let's start with the helmet. So with the helmet, there's a few choices. This color of the Windrunner is very, very good, but the thing is, it's only eye level 232. I think that the Crown of the Luminescence off of Mimiron hard mode is going to be our best in slot because it has all of that spirit. It's a 252 and all that spell power as well. It's unfortunate that it's crit, not our strongest secondary. I'd prefer it to be haste, but beggars can't be choosers. There's a lot of spell power. This is going to be a heavily contested piece. If you could get your tier helmet, this would be a decent helmet in the meantime, because not everybody's going to get every hard mode piece. It's going to be a lot of contention, but this is an easy piece to pick up in the meantime that I would be happy with. Crown of the Absolute is bad. This is a bad item. Don't pick this up no matter socket. And Collar of the Windrunner, Rim Hunter is also an okay piece in the meantime while you're waiting for Crown of Luminescence to drop. If you want easy items in 10-man, the Cowl of Icy Breaths and Cowl of Dark Whispers are okay. Lifestar Visage is okay. The thing is that the eye level disparity is so much that you're going to want to get one of the 25-man items just because it has more spell power. And if you get the tier helm, then at least you could kind of get the 4-piece, which is super, super alright. Alright, let's move on to necks. This is my favorite neck for Demo right now. A Spirit Haste red socket with extra spirit. It's very clutch, and I don't think it's entirely that contested because most of the casters want Pendant of Fiery Havoc, which is... it's a better neck. It has more like raw stats, I guess. It helps build your set easier with all the hit, but I think it's gonna be way too contested, and Sapphire Amulet of Renewal will be nice, especially because with the eye level upgrade, we're gonna be so flooded with hit that we're gonna have the opportunity to pick up pieces like Sapphire Amulet of Renewal instead of Pendant of Fiery Havoc. If you have the EOE 25-man neck, this is a-okay to hold on to. I probably wouldn't even put on Pendant of Piercing Glare over Wimmer's Necklace of Power. I would wait for one of these two to drop. So if you're still out there, you do 25-man axe and pick up this neck until you get the other two. Going to shoulder, I think the best shoulder is going to be coming from 10-man mode Yogg. This shoulder is perfect for us. Spirit 2 sockets, spell power. It'll give us plenty of spell power for the raid. In the meantime, I don't particularly like Suit Covered Mantle because it doesn't have a real secondary, just as hit, and as I said, we're going to be flooded in hit. I'm going to say that a few times. I'm sorry for repeating myself. But in the meantime, while you're farming 10-man and this never drops, because remember that KT one that you never got? Yeah, this is going to be the same thing all over again. You're going to have to do the entire thing because it's the last boss to try to get your shoulder. I would pick up Conqueror's Deathbringer shoulder pads in the meantime. These are pretty good in comparison to the 10-man one. The 10-man one is just that little bit better. It's a slight difference, but I mean, it matters. So I will be farming 10-man until I get this on both of my Warlocks, Affliction and Demo. But as a Demo, I would take the tier shoulders and I would sit patiently while farming my 10-man. But these are the only two options. If you have Valorous, you can hold on to these are a-okay until you get Conquerors. For Cloak, so there's a few cloaks, and most of you probably have Cape of the Unworthy Wizard. So a direct upgrade of Cape of the Unworthy Wizard would be Sun Glimmer Drape would be an upgrade over that with the Spirit and the Socket and the Haste. Pendant Cloak is not as good for support, but for personal DPS, Pendant Cloak is better. You'll be able to farm this. So these are two decent items, and the Sun Glimmer Cloak is from the 10-man version of the quest for Algalon, and I think the Sun Glimmer Cloak is from the 25-man version of the Algalon quest, and this is going to be heavily contested, so getting it on 10-man and farming the Pendant Cloak in the meantime are some very good options for you. Or you can just sit on Cape. Cape's not a huge piece, but the quest item is going to be your A1 choice. And I don't think either of these drapes are that good because they both have hit on it. They don't have haste. They have yellow sockets, not red sockets, so it's harder to just activate the bonus. And you could use your Cloak as a Purified Twilight Opal socket, which is really nice. So I would avoid these because of the hit, and I would move to Sun Glimmer Cloak when I can and farm these two in the meantime. Or you could just sit on your Cape of the Unworthy Wizard for a little bit. It's not a priority piece at all. For chest, I think tier chest is the best. Most of you probably have Valorous right now. And this is a pretty one-for-one upgrade trade. And I'm pretty sure that they're increasing the tier eye levels. Don't know 100% yet. But the one-to-one is pretty good. There are some other chests that you can get in the meantime if you're fine dropping all this hit. Raiments of the Corrupted is okay. I think I'd still rather use Valorous Deathbringer than Raiments of the Corrupted. Robes of Umbral Brute are pretty good. I like the haste, I like the crit. There's no spirit, and if you could drop the hit, I would swap to these over Valorous if I had a choice. And then Raiments is very solid. And if I couldn't get tier chest and I did not need the hit, I would grab Raiments. Otherwise, the other chests from beforehand aren't very relevant because there's a very high chance you guys already have your 25-man chest. Moving on to bracers. I mean, there's only one good pair of bracers. This is the best pair of bracers. It's a 252 eye level from XT. The other bracers that are in Ulduar, even the 10-man, 10, 10, 25, they all have hit. So I don't think they're that good. If you can use the hit, these bracers on Unleash Magic are super okay. I don't think I would take these bracers on Unleash Magic if I had Unsullied, however, because of the red socket. I think it pushes it over the boundary. But it depends on what you have already. But if you have Unsullied, you're sitting in a really good place. If you really are down bad, haven't seen Unsullied at all, you could farm 10-man and grab one of these, like this 232 hit one from the Guardian of Light. Like, this is okay. But Grasp of Reason, that is going to be heavily contested, and one of the items that is going to be the best in its classic. There's nothing really else like it. Let's go to weapons. So there's a few options for weapons that I'm going to be looking for personally. Staff of Endless Winter is really good for Demo. Like, this is a huge support item. I know Fire Mages are looking at this too because of that juicy crit, but I'm going to talk about all the stabs, and then I'm going to go into the one-handers. And Staff of Endless Winter, Ice Core Staff is okay. Intensity is not that good. I wouldn't go for intensity. That's way too much hit. Nothing else like it. Lifebinder's super okay. If I didn't have a weapon from 25-man Nax, I'd probably grab something like this. But you can grab something like Fusion Blade in 10-man from Mimir on hard mode, which is a good item to farm while you're waiting for what I think is the best one-hander for the phase, Star Shard Edge. Star Shard Edge is going to gain a few eye levels because Blizzard didn't put it in properly when they were updating the internal eye levels of all the items. So Star Shard is going to be 252. So this is going to be best in slot for basically any caster. That is going to be fantastic for loot again. Remember all the other items we've shared so far. So in the meantime, definitely try to farm out that Fusion Blade from Ulduar 10. This is a good item in the meantime, and it will directly replace Turning Tide. But if you have Turning Tide, you're in a really good place right now. There's some other decent items that drop from like Ulduar 25, like RuneScribe Blade. This is okay, but I mean Turning Tide is just nasty. Look at that, it's so good. I can't really think of any other item I would really get. I mean Fusion Blade and RuneScribe Blade would be an alright substitute if you don't have Turning Tide. But if I had Turning Tide, I would wait for one of these two. And if you had neither, I would try to grab one of these stabs. I don't think the stabs are going to be that contested. Everyone's going to set their sights on the one-handers. So, weapons have our highest spell power upgrade and let us provide the most support to the raid, etc., etc. Definitely keep an eye out for those. In terms of offhands, there's only a few good ones. Most of you should have Matriarch spawn, or if you need the hit, Surplus Limb. And if you still need the hit, Cosmos is going to be the best offhand. And Cosmos, again, is going to become 252. If you don't need the hit, Iron Mender is alright, but Cosmos will be probably the best one because it's 252 compared to the 232 Iron Mender. Although it's a shame that, again, too much hit. Moving on to gloves. So there's only two real options for gloves. Right now, most of you should probably just have tier. And the tier is pretty good for our needs. But moving into Ulduar, the tier is basically, it's like a 1-for-1 trade up. Hit, spell power, spirit, hit, spell power, spirit. And this is a fine item to hold you over while you're trying to get one of the other items, because every single DPS caster is going to want Pharaoh's Gloves. But in my set, I try to incorporate an item that I still think is really good, but isn't as contested, and that's Pulsar Gloves, which has 2 red sockets, haste, hit, spell power, which is really, really solid, and it won't be at the top of people's list. People are going to be going for Pharaoh's Gloves. So this could be a sneaky pick. I slipped it in. I'm at 14% hit with the Draenei buff without suppression, which is really good. And I'm going to have even a little bit more hit with the eye level buff to some of the items from Algalon. So I still think Pulsar Gloves is a sleeper item to shoot for as a demo. For belts, the Tailoring Belt is insane. A lot of guilds are going to be funneling Ruined Orbs. I think this is one of the best crafted items, hands down in Ulduar, and guilds are going to be shooting for that. So grab one of these when you can, but I think for support demo, the Star Watcher's Binding kind of pulls ahead. It has a triple socket. I put 3 reds in it. Crit and Spirit. This, you can't really take advantage of all that hit. Like I said, already at 14%. We're going to be even higher with the buffs to Algalon weapons in an ideal scenario. And I think Star Watchers is just better. This Belt of the Dark Speaker isn't as good. It only has 1 socket. There's only, if you already have Leash or a Cinctor, there's only 2 belts this phase, and that's Sash and Star Watchers, because each of them has 3 sockets. So if you use the hit, try to go for Sash, or you should probably just go for Sash no matter what, because it's a tailoring item, and a probably direct upgrade. But Star Watcher's Binding is one of the items I would shoot for. It's a little bit off-brand. Legs, there's a really, really good pair of legs from Freya Hard Mode. The Lungs of the Enslaved Idol, with triple socket, hit, crit, but we can't have it all in this world, and sometimes you have to take some consolations. And again, look at all that hit. There's just way too much hit. These overload leg wraps are just not as good as Conquer legs for me. I just think the Conquer legs are nice because they have 2 sockets, Spirit, Haste, Spell Power. These have more haste and hit. So these are going to be not very contested. You can grab these really easily, and it's going to be a direct upgrade from Valorous legs. If you need the hit, you can just sit on one taunt. You don't necessarily have to shoot for this immediately. You could sit on it for a while. So you have a few options for legs, but at the end of the phase, you'll probably end up with your tier legs, which is not that bad. For boots, there's 2 main pairs of boots. Actually, I'll give credit to sandals for credits too. And there's also the tailoring ones. The tailoring ones are kind of sleeper. They're Spirit, Haste, double socket, which is really, really good for us. And then the ones from Flame Leviathan are Spirit, Haste, double socket, but they're just like an eye level upgrade. So if you're waiting and have some extra gold or have some extra Ruin Orbs, like these are very nice to hold in the meantime. It's not like BiS, because there's obviously one that's 20 eye levels better. But if you're sitting on a pair of boots that you don't like, or if you weren't able to afford Arcanic Tramplers, you might be able to pick up a cheaper pair of Arcanic Tramplers, because they're going to be doing the 25 to 10 man thing. So you can pick these up really easily, or you could save your money and try to pick up the BOE tailoring ones, which I think would be a very good item in the meantime while we wait for Boots of Fire Resolution. I don't think Treads are that good because all the Fire Mages want them. If you're going for personal DPS, this is superior than these, and it's just gonna be a lot more contested, so it's easier to go for the Spirit Haste ones. And sandals are super okay. I don't think I would shoot for these at all, especially if they're 232, but we have 2 nice pairs of 252 boots, and I'd be happy to receive any of them. So for rings, there's like 3 rings. Conductive Seal is insane. This is a self-explanatory item, blue socket, Haste, Spirit. Shimmering Seal is very solid. It's a 239 ring with a red socket and hit. And I put this in because I thought it would be less contested, and it's from 10 man, so you could farm it. And it's just kind of rounded out my hit really well. If I found myself with too much hit because of Algalon, I would probably swap Shimmering Seal with Nebula Band. Nebula Band is going to be... most of the casters are going to have Conductive Seal, and Nebula Band as their best rings. Those are like the best rings around, because they have sockets. Everything else doesn't really have a socket and isn't really that interesting. I guess this Signet of Soft Lament is alright because it has a socket. If you have Signet of Manifested Pain and Signet of the Malevolent, you're sitting in a good place from last tier. But Signet of Soft Lament is alright. Nebula Band, Conductive Seal, Shimmering Seal A1, I would incorporate these into my set. Now, trinkets. As a demo, there's only 2 trinkets for you next phase because you're focusing on your spell power buff, and that's going to be Dying Curse and Flare of the Heavens. These are highest spell power proc trinkets for the best demonic pack you possibly can. In terms of other trinkets, if you're building for personal DPS, I think Living Flame is super alright if you need the hit. Most of you won't need the hit. As I said, Overflowing with hit. Scales of Fate's probably one of the best personal DPS trinkets depending on fight length, so this might be very niche use. And then you also have the Tried and True, where is it? Illustration. From last year, which you'll be able to farm now with the 10-man reduction of 25-man OS to 10. You can make a little 10-man, soft res this, or hard res this, and get on with your life. This is the best trinket for speed clearing, because the consistent spell power is better than proc trinkets you won't have on demand. And those are the only 4 really relevant trinkets, I think, is that Dying Curse, Flare, Scales, and Illustration for now, until something else kind of comes along as maybe some meta shifter. I went through all these trinkets and went through a bunch of logs, and most of them have like hit and don't have that interesting proc effects, but those 4 would be ideal. And then wand, this is the best wand. This wand's going to serve you into next phase too. It's a 245 wand. There's no wand as strong as it, and it does have hit spirit in a socket, which is solid stats for us. If you wanted to go for something less contested, Scepter of Lost Souls is super alright, and would tide you over in the meantime if you already have Wand of the Archlich. And most of you should have Gemmed Wand and the Rubians, Wand of the Archlich, or if you're really, really unlucky, Utkar Keep Wand, or you're me who has Plague Igniter because wands evade you like no tomorrow. So now that we talked about that, I want to talk about which items I would shoot for in terms of highest priority as a demo. And the number 1 item I would kind of go all in for, and would be the best DPS increase to your raid that you should fight for, is you should grab Flare of the Heavens ASAP. Like the other trinket that you're probably using is Sundial, and Sundial has a measly 590 spell power proc, and this is a 959 spell power proc, and that's simple math, that it's just more DPS for your entire raid. So I would shoot for this if I really can. I would get your 10-man Ulduar lockouts every week. There are decent items you can pick up while you're waiting for other items, and Amos is what I think is the best shoulders that you can. You can get the lesser Sun Glimmer Cloak. You can pick up the other Signet of Soft Lament. There's other items you can pick up, the Fusion Blade. There's good items you can get, so definitely do your Ulduar 10-mans every week. But number 1 item, Flare of the Heavens. Number 2 item, I would pick up a weapon of any type. I would settle for a staff if my guild didn't want to give me another BiS weapon because, I don't know, fairness or something, and you already had a Turning Tide and there's somebody without a really good weapon and they want like a Boomkin or something, never got a torch, and they're like, oh, we're gonna give him a Star Shard, and you're just like, oh, okay, whatever, I'll just accept a good staff like Ice Core or Staff of Endless Winter, preferably Staff of Endless Winter, and move on with my life. But Flare, weapon, and then I would start looking at the best 252 pieces, aka Helm, boots, and belt's alright. Maybe gloves. But Flare, Star Shard, Helm, and then start looking at the other off pieces. That's what I would go for. Helm's pretty big because it's a 252. And these are the talents I'm running. I'm probably going to be dropping 2 points of Demonic Embrace for improved health stones, depending on how hard the content is. These are glyphs from... I copied this over from Affliction, so don't laugh at my glyphs, please. And I think intensity is really important. There's a lot of AoE knockback in Wrath of the Lich King, so Ulduar specifically. And I think that's it for now. I hope this helps you try to think about items you want to prioritize getting in Ulduar, and kind of helps guide your loot council in a direction that would help you out in terms of support for your raid, because that's what's important at the end of the day, is your buff and I guess secondary your damage, and we want to do the most we possibly can. I will be streaming a ton of Ulduar content when the PTR comes out next week on Thursday the 8th. You can catch me live at twitch.tv. ItsPummel. Please drop me a follow, much appreciated. If you like what you saw, drop a subscribe. Again, I'm doing a lot of Ulduar stuff coming up. I want to make content on how to min-max each fight as a demo and let you guys be the best you possibly can for your guilds. So, hope to catch you next time. Peace.